Ciao everyone and welcome to episode 20 of Voices of Italy Beyond la Dolce Vita. Today we're diving into the meaning of the label that probably represents Italian identity the most, which is Made in Italy, of course. But is it just a label or is something more? Maybe a source of pride or maybe just a myth that we like to believe in? To help us understand that, I'm joined by someone who's built her entire career telling powerful stories about Italy and Italians around the world. Journalist and storyteller Patrizia La Daga joins me from Barcelona to talk about culture, identity, and what it really takes to protect and promote Italian excellence abroad. Today, we're talking about what Made in Italy really is, what's missing, and what needs to change. As always, beyond the cliche. Italy is one of the most iconic countries in the world. But what does Italy mean to the world? What does it mean to you?
Buongiorno.
Pizza.
Ciao Bella.
Michelangelo.
Spaghetti.
Mafia.
Dolce Vita.
My name is Alessia, I'm Italian, and this is Voices of Italy, the podcast that peels back the layers of the Instagram perfect Italy to reveal everyday stories of authentic, surprising, and messy Italian life. There are only a few phrases that trigger as much pride in Italians as Made in Italy. We see it on clothing labels, bottles of olive oil. Really, as Italians, we are obsessed with local Italian stuff across the board. It's just a symbol of beauty, tradition, quality, a seal of excellence, and really triggers that little bit of patriotism that we do not dare to call so. But it's also a little bit of a paradox, like a lot of things in Italian society. And sometimes it feels like more of a marketing slogan that doesn't always reflect the reality of how things are produced or supported in our country. So today, I want to talk about what happens when that label isn't just a brand, but a mission. And that's exactly where today's guest comes in. So, if you've been listening to Voices of Italy, you know that this podcast is all about exploring what it means to be Italian today, beyond the stereotypes and the cliches, and giving voice to today's Italians and Italy through the stories of those who live it, question it, and represent it in Italy and abroad. So today's guest is someone that does exactly that every single day. Patrizia La Daga is a journalist, a storyteller, and founder of Italiani Ovunque, which is a platform that celebrates Italian talent around the world. She's based in Barcelona, which sounds really nice, and she works as a sort of an intersection of culture, identity, and international visibility because she's sort of a bridge builder between Italy and the world. She's the ambassador of Made in Italy community, which means she's not only passionate about Italian excellence, she actively works to promote it. And so I'm really thrilled to have her here today. Thank you so much, Patrizia, for joining me.
Thank you, Alessia. Really, first of all, thank you, because for me, it's an honor and it's a pleasure to be here speaking. And I'm very happy to be here speaking about Italiani Ovunque and all my job. I have to apologize in advance because I know that I will make a lot of mistakes in English because I really don't speak it often. So I've forgotten a lot of vocabulary. So I hope that the audience will be kind to me.
Don't worry, don't worry. The truth is that people love Italian accents, so I think we're forgiven. Well, I think since I just gave a short introduction, but I'm feeling like, of course, it was a little simplistic and it doesn't really do justice to what you do and what you're involved in. So I think it would be a nice start if you would tell me, a little bit about yourself. If someone met you for the first time today and asked you, "What do you do?" How would you describe it?
Okay, I think you really said everything about my talk and my life. Your resume is perfect. Anyway, I'm a journalist, I'm a presenter, and I'm a freelance event planner also. I'm the founder of the website italianiovunque.com and ambassador in Spain, and I am the international responsible for the development of Made in Italy community. Can we do it again? time, please.
Go over it as many times as you want.
The problem is that I'm not used to being interviewed, you know?
You're used to be the interviewer. You're used to be on the other side most of the time.
Experience for me, especially English. Anyway, I was in Spain, in Barcelona, as you said, but in reality, I work for Italy and with Italy every day because here I collaborate with Italian institution and with Italian companies. And I'm passionate about sharing the stories of Italians doing great things all around the world. They are really very, very beautiful stories of Italian stories.
I imagine. I think it's very similar to what drove me to start Voices of Italy. And I really was focused on telling those stories, but I wanted to people to know who we really are for the good and for the bad, right? Because I wanted both sides of my Italian identity. And, I was always very exposed to more or less stereotypical kind of
I understand you
yeah.
perfectly. I
I
started
suppose it's a little bit the same for you.
and I never stopped because it's really fascinating. And every day I meet with new people, and it's so interesting to listen. And you learn a lot, from
Absolutely.
this is a beautiful thing of my job, I think.
And if you maybe think about, your career path and your experience, would you be able to maybe tell me a moment or something in particular that you were more proud of, something that was very significant for you?
Well, apart from being mother
Oh.
of my two children, sono una mamma italiana, okay? This is the most beautiful thing I have done in my life.
That's so sweet.
But it's true. It's true. I think that I'm proud of having reinvented myself, okay, during difficult moments. The Italiani Ovunque, for example, one of these things I did when I had a difficult moment, and another one is my storytelling motivational events. The leadership arena. They are two important things in my career. And recently, I even published a novel, which
Oh,
him come true. Yes, his writing has always been my passion.
that's really, really cool. Yeah, that's really fascinating about what you do. I feel like it's really hard to describe you with a word specifically. So you have to say that you're a journalist, that you're a writer, that you're a promoter, a host, you're involved in
I
events.
like to think communication.
Yeah,
Everything is communication. I
you're a
communicate.
communicator. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's really nice. Could you imagine doing what you do in Italy? It's something that you would see as possible, or the fact that you're outside's kind of a push for you?
Well, I think yes, maybe yes, but living abroad
Mhm.
give me a wider perspective, of course. From
Mm.
the outside, you see Italy with different eyes, and sometimes more clearly, because we the Italians, I know it, who complain about our country, and yes, it's true. We have a lot of problems. It's true. We know it. But when you live abroad, you realize that the others don't necessarily have it better. I mean, every country has its own issues and problems.
Mhm.
So we have to try to avoid to complain so much and
Yeah.
to understand that we have a lot of good things, really good things.
That we take for granted sometimes. My partner is American, and I think one of the things also that pushed me to do Voices of Italy is that I started to see how my perception of Italy was compared to his. And for example, one of the things that he mentioned when he first arrived here was that everything looks so old here, but in a good way. You have such old buildings everywhere. You can casually walk around in any place you live, basically, and stumble upon an old church. And I really have always taken that for granted. That's normal. All countries have stuff from their past in the middle of a plaza where they're having aperitivo, but that's really not the case. I would say really not.
Italy, the most beautiful country of the world.
Yes.
It sounds a bit patriotic, but I think so.
I think we have a bad relationship with patriotism in Italy. We can be patriotic a little bit. You just don't need to be, super nationalist and extremist. But I feel like if you're proud of a couple of things of your country, is fine. That
Yet we
still works.
are not. When we live in Italy, we are not.
Yeah, we're not. It's easier when you get outside, you get more nostalgic, I think. I have this feeling with a lot of people that are outside Italy, and you sort of start liking it more. I don't know how to say. You start giving a little less weight to the negative things.
And outside makes makes you feel even more proud to be Italian, and you experience your Italian identity with more emotion. I think that living abroad made me appreciate even more where I
Mm.
come from, my country.
To me, it happened. I mean, it's not the same thing, but to me, it happened moving outside Sicily. There are a lot of things that I took for granted while I was there, and I almost disliked while I was there. And then when I moved outside, definitely went more neutral. I didn't dislike those things anymore, but just because I don't have them close to me, so it maybe just doesn't give me the time to get annoyed
Yeah.
at those problems. But yeah, I think, and I imagine you had the opportunity to meet a lot of interesting people to interview, to promote, or just, there in the same event where you were. Is there someone in particular that inspired you? A particular story that you can tell us that maybe was particularly significant for you?
This is a very difficult question because
I imagine you have a lot of
I
choices.
met a lot of people and I don't want to mention one of them, you know?
I
Um,
get it. Yes, yes.
I can't do it.
Too difficult to pick it. Okay.
The truth is that in my career there are a lot of people that inspires me, but not necessarily people I met. For example, when I was younger, my idol was Oriana Fallaci, a very famous journalist and writer, and she was a role model for me.
Hmm.
So I admire people with entrepreneur spirits, and I think that she was really like a model. But then I met a lot of people. I cannot mention one of them.
I get it, I get it. But Oriana Fallaci makes perfect sense. Yes, I guess maybe my generation already we were like a little less into knowing her, but still, I think if you have never heard of Oriana Fallaci and you live in Italy, you've been living under a rock a little
Yeah.
bit. But yes, that's really nice. Why do you think you were so drawn to storytelling and promotion of Italian culture? Is that something that you were imagining for yourself, or it just happened
No,
along the way?
well, I think that storytelling connects people, and Italy has incredible story, as we said. So I've always loved creating connection between people, and I think I am a natural networker. You know. That's that's also why I organize events to bring people together around shared value, passion, themes, issues. So storytelling promote Italy, but also put people together.
Okay. So more than telling the story is really using the opportunity to bring people together that can then create things.
Are like books, you know, they are bridge. And they connect different culture, different people. Telling story is the best way. It's easier because
Mhm.
through a story you can understand the culture of other people. That's the same reason why we read books. A Japanese can write a book, we can read it, and we try to understand his culture.
Yeah, it tells us something. Yeah.
The, the real thing I like of storytelling.
That's really, really nice. I completely understand it too. In your words, how would you describe Made in Italy today? And just, I know that this question may sound very generic, maybe to a foreigner, because also I'm not saying made in Italy products. I'm saying made in Italy as if that was already in itself a label, something that you need to, incorporate a certain
Well, it's
meaning.
really, it's like a label, and I think it's the third label known in the world. But anyway, it's not a product. It's a mindset, I think,
Mm.
because made in Italy, it's about how we design, how we cook, how we live, how we think, how we do everything, how Italians do everything. This is made in Italy.
Yes, yes. I think we really attribute a lot of our identity to the things that we do. There is this connection. And again, it may sound like a trivial thing to say, but I think I really started to notice that when I was saying to foreign people made in Italy, using it in that way, they were a bit confused. They're like, what do you mean? I don't know, the government is supporting made in Italy. products. That's what you mean? And I was like, yes and no. It means that, but it means our reputation too. It means our identity. It means a lot of things. And we use it in an everyday context
Yes,
that
for us,
way as well.
easy to understand. I understand that for a foreign for foreign people, it's a bit hard. But if they stay a week in Italy, they understand it.
Yes, yes, they will see it. They will see it very easily, absolutely. And what I think really belongs a lot to Made in Italy is like I think we are used to think about small producers. We don't think about Ferrero and Ferrari. Yeah, that's obviously made in Italy, but at the same time, I think in people's mind that means the little artisan, the little chef, the little boutique, the artisan that, I don't know, is creating something that nobody else knows how to do anymore, like glass work in Veneto, that kind of thing. Do you agree? I think that's a lot about it.
Yes, everything is made in Italy. Also, our restaurant, our kitchen,
Mm,
our food, everything is made in Italy because there are a lot of creativity in every activity Italian people do. So mm, it's
it's a lot like that. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe abroad, obviously people have pride in what their country do, is not just an Italian thing, but sometimes you can read articles where it says at that specific, I don't know, let's say at the Olympics, there was a pole designed and produced in Italy at the Olympics. I don't know, now I'm just inventing something, but it's just to say that we're proud of when our stuff is shown abroad too. That's something that brings us a lot of pride. But do you think there is a paradox a little bit, because we're so proud and we are convinced that the things that we do are excellent, but then at the same time there's maybe a lack a little bit of tangible support towards Made in Italy, especially towards institutions.
it's true. It's true. I see it every day in my job because we are very proud of Made in Italy, but sometimes we don't protect it. That's why I love working on Made in Italy community project, for example, because through our events we try to create a real dialogue, no, between institutions and companies. In
Hmm.
companies in a positive and usual use. Companies need to speak with institutions.
Yeah.
We call it Sistema Italia. Sistema Italia have to, how to say it, to push every activity and to show it to all the world,
Hmm.
the good things we are able to do.
But there needs to be a collaboration
Yes,
with the
we need
institutions.
it. And I think in this moment it's not so strong. We can
Mm.
build it, but poco a poco we are trying.
Little by little. Have you, I don't know, do you have ideas? Like, if you could tell institutions, if you could tell a government, if you could tell politicians, what do you think they should do to help promoting Made in Italy? Do you have something? I don't know. Obviously, it's not a problem that you can fix with one single action, but
Yes, yes, it's difficult. I'm not the person who will.
you're like, I'm not a politician. I don't know.
But I think we need a long-term vision, strong international networks, for
Mm.
example. In my little job, I try to do it. And of course, more collaboration between institutions. They can do more, but I think this government is trying to do it. That
Mm. It looks like it.
yes, it looks like it. We will result in a few years, but I think that we are in the good way.
I was reading just yesterday an article about, here you go, a Made in Italy brand that I didn't even know. It's called La Perla. It's a
Yeah,
lingerie
good,
brand.
good.
And I was reading about, the efforts that the government made to save that company that, financially had collapsed and was, risking to be just bankrupted. And the government helped finding a buyer. So I don't know. I tend sometimes to think that that's a bit too much. Like, that maybe it's not the government's duty to go and save every single company that doesn't go well. But at the same time, that's kind of the expectation that we have sometimes. Or I don't know. I- I'm never sure what I think about that.
Yes, it's true, but I think it was a good thing. For example, for example, in this case of La Perla, because it was a pity to lose a traditional brand like that, known all around the world. So
And it's
and they are creating more jobs.
mm,
Let's see what will happen, but I think it's a good thing in this case.
yeah, you can't deny that, yes, when they do something like this, they saved people's jobs, they hired more people. Obviously, there are benefits. It's just that sometimes I think maybe we need to get used that we need to be sustainable. A brand that has to be also sustainable financially, unfortunately. And we love our culture, we love our products, but money are money,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Business is
What would you would that shifting back to you, what would you want people to remember or feel when when you speak about Italy? What would you like them to, experience from your activities?
yes, I think that Italy is not only beauty, food, and history, tradition, let's say. This is true, but it's not only that. It's passion, it's people with incredible ideas, talent, and entrepreneurial skills. We have to believe it and believe in ourselves. We have a lot of technologies, startups, not only pizza, spaghetti, the traditional. We have the Colosseo tradition, but we also have a lot of innovation. So it's
Yeah.
tradition and innovation. This is made in Italy, of course.
Of course, that's true. I never realized, even me, to be honest. If you asked me a couple of years ago, what is it that we do? What is that we big at doing? I would have said food and luxury products. Those would have been my two tops. Then you go and read the data, and it's like pharmaceutical products, machinery, production machinery.
I
It's a lot of
have a
high
lot
tech,
high tech
a
and
lot of tech.
in companies, really, really strong companies. And yes, they are not a famous brand, but
Yeah,
they are, and not only in the north. We have them in Sardinia, in Puglia, in the south too. They are
yeah.
growing, and this is a good thing.
This is a good thing. Yes, absolutely. That's a topic super dear to my heart. I would speak for hours about the potential of South Italy, but maybe that's for another episode. Well, to wrap up a little bit our little chat. What's next for Patrizia? What's in your plans in your future? You wrote a book now. What's next?
I think the first thing is expanding the international network of Made in Italy community. That is a really beautiful project. I like it a lot. And then telling even more powerful stories of Italian around the world, and maybe why not writing a book about these stories?
Why not? Why not? We would be very interested.
I
That
think
sounds really cool. Let's note it down.
next time I will tell you the more inspiring, the most
Here you go. Book about my question. That sounds really, really good. Perfect. Well, I think I can finalize by saying that your worries about your English were absolutely not necessary. You did great, and thank you so much, Patrizia, for being here with me.
thank, thank you to
Thank you.
and bye bye.
But before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with a couple of things to check out, especially if today's conversation sparkled your curiosity. One is One is, of course, Patrizia's novel, Quando potevamo ballare per strada, which means when we were able to dance in the streets. Set in a dystopian future where books, music, and freedom have been erased by a brutal theocracy, it tells the story of Giulia, an elderly woman who secretly writes her memories every night, hoping to cherish and pass on her memories of a long-lost civilization. Through her voice, we glimpse the lost sweetness of life, friendship, and love, and the vibrant chaos and the chaos of places like Milan and New York. It really is a powerful reminder that there's something to lose when we forget the importance of beauty, culture, and art in our society. And if you're interested in how Made in Italy is being reimagined globally today, you, of course, need to check out the Made in Italy community where Patrizia leads the international network development, because it's a platform that really brings people together and projects to commit to keeping Italian excellence alive, not just in name, but in action. I would really love to hear what you think about Made in Italy, what it means to you, if you have anything in your own culture, if you're not Italian, that speaks to you in that way. Let's keep the conversation going on Instagram at Voices of Italy, but also on Blue Sky. Thank you everyone for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, remember to follow the podcast and leave a review. It really means the world. Ci sentiamo presto. Ciao!